Hey guys, Rob from Ultimate Diesel Tuning. Behind me is a V6 Amarok 550 and it's come into our workshop for a custom dyno tune and on-car chemical soot clean. Before I go on, make sure you subscribe to the Ultimate Diesel Tuning YouTube channel and click the bell for notifications. I always talk about the importance of making sure the vehicle's running correctly and everything's going well before we do the custom dyno tune. The big part is making sure we do that pre-tune inspection. This Amarok is a great example of a vehicle that's only done 60,000 kilometers, and the pre-tune inspection identified some of those really big issues that can be dangerous if you do just load and go a file or don't get your car properly custom dyno tuned. So when we first ran the Amarok up on the dyno, it had 108 kilowatts at all four wheels. Now, with the Amaroks, with standard tires, you'd expect a lot more power. What we did identify was it was probably down about 15 to 20% in power, what we'd expect. This started us to lead to going, what is wrong with the Amarok? What's the concern with it? There was no engine lights at the time, but there was definitely something wrong. When the Amarok arrived to a workshop, it did have an aftermarket stainless steel snorkel and airbox fitted to it as well. We see a lot of cars coming into our shop where customers have done their own modifications to the vehicle, and this is a good example where the customers fitted up an airbox to it. And what's taken place is we've actually diagnosed a problem where there's a restriction with the airbox, and in turn has reduced that 15% of power, and again, the customers not even really realize this. So what we found was obviously the aftermarket airbox had a restriction and was restricting the airflow to the turbocharger and overall performance, as we said from the numbers. What we were able to do was get in contact with the owner, he still had the original airbox, got the original airbox, fitted it back up to the car, and surprisingly, straight away, the car went from 108 kilowatts of power to 137 kilowatts of power standard before we did anything. So this is a great opportunity to identify with a customer that he wasn't really aware of the issue that he actually had by fitting this airbox. So I want to go through these numbers and just talk to you about the results and how it performed. So firstly, when we ran it up, as I mentioned, it had 108 kilowatts power, and that's the green line there. And as you can see, it was a bit wavy, and that was the restriction through the airbox. When we changed and put the factory airbox into the vehicle, you can see it completely changed how the vehicle did perform. Two things was not only power, but it also was down about 100 Newton meters of torque, which would be very noticeable, especially if a customer was towing. This customer doesn't do a lot of towing, but if they're towing and just taking off the market, would have felt a bit lazy. As you can see, when we rectified and changed the airbox out and put the factory airbox in, the car did everything we'd expect. It ran up around 137 kilowatts of power and 460 Newton meters, which is what we'd expect out of a V6 Amarok. So good result. What the customer's going to notice today is when he drives out, this car's got 180 kilowatts of power, which is what we'd see, and over 600 Newton meters of torque out of this V6 Amarok. So in relation to the restriction, I just want to bring up the graph and show you what the vehicle was doing with its fueling. This is actually the vehicle running up standard, and you can see with the airbox, the fueling was all over the place, and that's where we sort of started to lead to what is the problem with the vehicle, what's causing this, and led us to finding that there was a restriction with the airbox. When we fitted the standard airbox to the vehicle, you can see the fueling came in absolutely nicely down there. Guys, just make sure those modifications, be it airboxes or any modification you're doing to your vehicle, you take the time. If there's something not right about it, there's a good chance what you've changed has caused a problem.